morning, Dolphins fans. It's your boy Dillon, and it's another day and another round of news and notes for you. So I'm going to give you everything that I've got here, starting with this article from Dolphins Wire. And it says, Dolphins wide receiver Devontae Parker missed Monday's practice. Dolphins wide receiver Devontae Parker missed Monday's practice because of a hand injury. He jammed his finger during Sunday's practice, but he did not leave the field. Parker has not had the best training camp as he has been invisible at times. However, Dolphins head coach Adam Gase said he isn't worried about Parker's chemistry with quarterback Ryan Tannehill. Those guys have been doing this for a minute together, Gase said. They didn't have any problems in the spring. It's just sometimes the ball goes other places dictated by coverage. Devontae's the kind of guy you want man-to-man. You want him to be able to use his size and his body and box a guy out and go get the ball. We need to see press coverage to get that. We've had some opportunities. Parker's injury history has been well documented, and he has never played a full 16-game season in the NFL. Last year, Parker had an ankle injury, kept him out for 3 games, and lingered all year. He has also dealt with hamstring and foot issues during his 3 seasons with the Dolphins. Despite the Dolphins picking up his 5th-year option during the offseason, 2018 is a critical season for Parker as the team could decide to rescind his $9.5 million option after the season. Parker's play has been slightly above average, but certainly not worth the $9.5 million price tag. For Parker to be on the Dolphins roster next year, he will need to not only to stay healthy, but be productive. Honestly, guys, as much as I hate to say it, I'm getting a little less and less confident in Parker. Especially considering we have such great depth at wide receiver. I don't know, man. I'm wearing his jersey right now for this one. I wanted him. You know, he was the draft pick that I wanted when in the 2015 draft. I was so excited when we got him. I don't know. I'm not going to say really anything about it until I see how he plays in the season. I'm just going to let it play out this year. You know, I'm not really going to say too much more about it. You know, I've said earlier on that I think he's going to have a breakout year and stuff, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's it. All right, so I'm just going to fly through some of this. Armando Salguero tweeted, left guard Josh Sitton and running back Frank Gore getting some vet rest day. Chris Perkins, Tannehill hard count makes defense jump. No one has to run. Guess Tannehill gets credit for good job. Then Godshaw and Larson tangle briefly after play. No big deal. Armando Salguero, Larson and Godshaw just had a little conversation that involved Larson and Godshaw pushing Godshaw and Godshaw ripping Larson's helmet off. Onward. Joe Shad, Spirit of Miami Dolphins practice. Something going between Cam Wake and Kalen Ballage after a run. Armando Salguero, another melee that's going for a long time. Too long. Punches and helmets flying. Saw Sitton, Gabe Wright, Kenyon Drake, others involved. Nice. Joe Shad, Miami Dolphins fisticuffs and shenanigans. O versus D. Kenyon Drake involved. Testosterone galore. They really need to get this taken out on some other people, man. Anyway, Chris Perkins, defensive tackle, Moton and running back Perry have small dust-up that eventually involves maybe 10 players. Just as it's breaking up, it appears defensive tackle Wright blindsides running back Drake, and then maybe 15 to 20 players are in a skirmish, most as peacemakers, though. Albert Breer, fisticuffs at Dolphins. Defensive line Gabe Wright came out of a pile swinging, taking aim at multiple running backs. If that's point in camp, it's that point in camp everywhere. Yeah, man, people are just getting... It's boiling. It's boiling. Chris Perkins, by the way, finally spotted Frank Gore. Saw him during skirmish. He's in jersey and sweatpants, obviously not practicing. Chris Perkins, Marquise Gray, who has been nursing right leg injury, one knee and getting medical attention, now moving off field with aid from trainer. Joe Shad, Miami Dolphins practice today. Chippy, scrappy, feisty, spirited, on edge. Beats apathy, in my opinion. Chris Perkins, 11 on 11, 1v1s. Cornerbacks Howard and McCain. Linebacker Baker with starters. Left guard Larson starting. Because Sitton's taking a vet day. Chris Perkins, wide receivers Wilson and Grant. Wide receiver Parker and Stills out today. Armando Salguero, Sonoris Perry was also involved in the previous fight. Took a couple of blows before Kenyon Drake jumped in. Chris Perkins, Phins now a nickel. Baker off, Minka on. Chris Perkins, Minka sack Tannehill. Beats block by Drake on backside. Chris Perkins, running back Balaj for maybe 4 to 5 yards. Nice footwork by Kilgore and Balaj on that one. Kilgore does nice job moving. Omar Kelly, Minka Fitzpatrick gets to Tannehill on a nickel blitz. Omar Kelly, Vincent Taylor pushed the pocket back on Daniel Kilgore and would have disrupted a Kalen Balaj run. Taylor has really been trending up. Cameron Wolf tweets, emotions boiling at Dolphins practice. 2 minor scuffles and a bigger one unleashed with punches. Helmets thrown. Defense was beating up on offense, taking them to the ground unnecessarily. Had enough. Gabe Wright charged at Kenyon Drake. Jason Sitting involved. Solid camp fight. It's getting crazy, bro. Yeah, man. It's coming down to it. This is how it goes, man. Armando Salguero, Raekwon McMillan just knocked down Ryan Tannehill. No, do not. Whatever. Chris Perkins, Phins running more and more up-tempo offenses. Camp progress. Tomorrow's last day of camp and getting better. We'll see if it works during games. Seemed okay versus Tampa. That's going to be a huge thing, man. That's going to be a huge thing for our offenses finally being able to run the up-tempo. Let's see. Here's an article from Joe Shad at the Palm Beach Post. Miami Dolphins training camp practice, Monday's practice. The Miami Dolphins have 2 training camp practices left. Some key players missed practice today. Here's some of what we saw. So let's see. Kenny Stills, ankle. Center Jake Brendel, calf, D end William Hayes, hamstring, linebacker Mike Hull, knee, and wide receiver Devontae Parker, hand. Running back Frank Gore, possible vet day. It was a vet day for him, did not practice. Miami Dolphins offensive tackle Juwan James was just chewed out by a coach after a false start. He ran a lap around the perimeter of the practice field. Spirit in Miami Dolphins practice, something going between Cam Wake and Kalen Balaj. Miami Dolphins fisticuffs and shenanigans. O versus D, Kenyon Drake, Sonoris Perry, Gabe Wright, all possibly involved. Testosterone galore. Miami Dolphins practice day, chippy, scrappy, feisty. Mike Gesicki is a first-team tight end. Jerome Baker is still first-team linebacker. Bobby McCain is still first-team outside corner with Minka Fitzpatrick at slot. Xavier Howard intercepted Ryan Tannehill on a long pass attempt across the field to Jakeem Grant. Okay, let's keep going on. Chris Perkins says D-line more aggressive today on that run to the ball and try to strip at things. Some ball carriers, receivers care, others don't, but think it's why skirmish broke out earlier. Chris Perkins, kicker Greg Joseph, 33 yards, right hash good. Chris Perkins, Joseph, 37 yards, right hash good. Chris Perkins, Joseph, 39 yards, left hash, no good. View blocked. Might have hit right upright. Refs didn't give specific signal. Joseph ends 2 of 3. Chris Perkins getting dark and cool here. Mid-morning raid might not be far behind. Chris Perkins kickoff return for this drill. Wide receiver Grant, cornerback McTire. Just heard thunder. Chris Perkins can't say for certain which players are back for kickoff return because so many chill in end zone during this segment. Chris Perkins, cornerback Jalen Davis about to do a kickoff return. Not sure we've seen him back there very often. Chris Perkins, more thunder. Finn's very good about protecting fans and players under these circumstances, so guessing no lightning nearby yet. Let's see. Chris Perkins, Balaj on that kickoff return. End of special team segment. Looks like 11 on 11 coming. Omar Kelly, Jakeem Grant drops a pass during 11 on 11s. Chris Perkins, 11 on 11, 1v1s. Offense at own 41. Cornerbacks Howard and McCain. Minka at nickel. Wide receivers Amendola, Grant, and Wilson. Left guard Larson. Tight end Gesicki. Joe Shad, something in the air on Davey today. Wouldn't surprise me to see another scrap in these 11 on 11s. Armando Salguero, quick screen to Jakeem Grant, drop. Armando Salguero, Xavier Howard, interception of Ryan Tannehill covering Grant. Joe Shad, Xavier Howard intercepting Ryan Tannehill on a long pass to Grant. Chris Perkins, interesting interception by Tannehill. Grant was lined up wide with Alonzo on him and Xavier deep. Grant runs deep out that Howard picks easily. Omar Kelly, Xavier Howard intercepts pass. Tannehill just threw deep after Akeem Spence applies pressure. Omar Kelly, nice first down run by Kenyon Drake. Angles from linebackers weren't good. O-line opened up a decent hole. Joe Shad, last year I told you to move Devontae Parker up your draft boards and it didn't work out. This year I tell you to move Kenyon Drake up your draft boards. I don't think I'll be wrong. Okay. Chris Perkins, Drake right for maybe 15 or more yards. Excellent block by Wilson on Alonzo to make crease. Chris Perkins, an offshoot of McCain to boundary cornerback. Fewer McCain versus Amendola matchups, which were fun in slot. And there's the lightning horn. We're going into the bubble. Okay, so they go into the bubble. Chris Perkins, now defensive tackle Moton and O-line Hillen go at it. No big deal, but third and fourth, no big deal in last 45 minutes or so. Chris Perkins, think tight end Gray sideline, tight end Gesicki and Escobar. Omar Kelly, Cameron Wake, ragdolled Mike Gesicki to pressure Tannehill. Wasn't pretty. Omar Kelly, they apparently called PI on Kiko Alonso on that play. Another horrible call. Chris Perkins, oh my God, Drake absolutely leveled by Godshot and maybe McDonald too. Chris Perkins, Tannehill sack, think it was Harris, not good outcome for offense in that red zone segment. Offense having decent day overall though. Omar Kelly, Ryan Tannehill outsprints Bobby McCain for a 6-yard gain on a scramble. Tannehill still has that speed. Here's an NFL Spin Zone article. Big changes at training camp. The Miami Dolphins coaching staff has clearly evaluated the team after their first 2018 preseason game and are making adjustments. The players seem to have taken notice too. The depth chart is changing and players are already taking on new roles. There is some injury news as well. I won't bore you with another long-winded introduction, so let's jump right in. Tannehill taking charge. This weekend we saw quarterback Ryan Tannehill step up in his leadership role and take charge. When rookie running back Kalen Ballage missed a blitz pickup in practice, Tannehill threw him out of the huddle and sent him to the sidelines. He went on to give the rookie an earful on the sidelines. Ballage does look like a promising rookie, but a rookie nonetheless. Nothing shows that more than his great run and hurdle in Thursday's game that concluded with a terrible fumble. He'll go through growing pains, but these are issues that can easily be cleaned up before the team needs him to be a serious contributor. Changes at linebacker. After a lackluster performance in Thursday's game by Stephon Anthony, Jerome Baker has replaced him on the first-team defense in practice. Baker is running with Raekwon McMillan and Kiko Alonso as starters. We will watch closely to see how this position battle plays out. Baker is far from being locked into a Week 1 starting role, but he has clearly done enough to earn an opportunity to prove he deserves it. Beat up wide receivers. Devontae Parker and Kenny Stills were both dealing with injuries on Sunday. Parker is nursing with a hand injury, Stills an ankle ailment. Parker did manage to return to practice after jamming his fingers, but Stills sat out after apparently tweaking his ankle on Thursday night. While both guys were sidelined, the starters on the outside were Albert Wilson and Jakeem Grant. Just something to keep in mind when it comes to this receiving core. With Parker struggling all summer, a significant shakeup isn't out of the question. Moves at corner. Cordray Tankersley has now fully lost a grip on the starting job. He was once the favorite to win at cornerback opposite Xavier Howard. Torrey McTyer has now seemingly jumped him, and Tony Lippett could as well. However, things got a lot more interesting this weekend as the team also experimented with Bobby McCain moving outside and slotting Minkah Fitzpatrick in as the nickel. Perhaps even more importantly, the team also worked out Bashaud Breeland and could make him an offer if they like what they see and the price is right. A healthy Breeland would almost certainly immediately step into a starting role by Week 1 if signed. Injury roundup. We have some injury updates beyond Stills' ankle. Linebacker Mike Hall, as we all know by now, suffered what looked to be a devastating knee injury on Thursday, but luckily it's just an MCL sprain and he could be back anywhere from just over a month to 8 weeks. IR is still an option, but the team hasn't made that call yet. Jordan Phillips is also dealing with a shoulder injury, allowing Vincent Taylor to step up in practice and perhaps earn a role on Sundays. Sam Young putting in extra work to help Laramie Tunsil after practice. That was from Joe Shad. Omar Kelly, Frank Gore's response to missing in physical practice that featured 3 fights. Man, they tripping. Let's see. Here's another article from the Phinsider. Training camp trends. Ryan Tannehill takes no prisoners. Questions at cornerback and more. August is storyline season in the NFL without stats to break down, player scenarios to debate, and fantasy rosters to set. Fans are constantly trying to make sense of various unofficial depth charts and roster battles throughout the league. The Miami Dolphins are no different. In this preseason, there are plenty of intriguing plot lines cropping up as the team prepares to face the Carolina Panthers this week. I've highlighted a few below. Ryan Tannehill takes no prisoners. While personally attending training camp on Sunday, I got to witness firsthand a moment that garnered some national media attention. Ryan Tannehill took a snap during practice and was immediately barraged by a defender, the unlucky rookie who missed his blocking assignment, running back Kalen Ballage. While rookie backs often face a learning curve, especially in blocking, Tannehill was not about to let Ballage off the hook. The 30-year-old quarterback immediately spun around after the would-be sack and fumed at Ballage to get out of the huddle and off the field. Tannehill was so upset that his words could be heard all the way up in the stands, where us spectators were watching with surprised interest. Over his 6 seasons in Miami, Tannehill has never been known as a vocal leader, and that was not his only outspoken moment in practice on Sunday. He was constantly barking instructions or encouragement to teammates. Another rookie got a taste of Tannehill's medicine when tight end Mike Gesicki was slower than Tannehill deemed appropriate in getting to the huddle. This is a side of Tannehill we've never seen before, and one many fans have been hoping would emerge. It appears his teammates have taken notice as well. When I asked right tackle Juwan James whether Tannehill's year recovering from his ACL injury changed his demeanor, attitude, etc., James immediately pointed out his starting quarterback's newfound energy and enthusiasm both on and off the field and how it's permeated through the rest of the team. James prefaced by explaining, after being out of the game that long and going out there for me, that preseason game, it was the most fun I've had in a while because football is what I love. It's what we all love to do. Tying that into Tannehill's injury, James continued, when it's taken away from you for a bit, you really sit back and see it from a different perspective. I feel like now that Tannehill is back, he's so happy, he's so involved, he's so vocal. He's missed the game and he's just happy to be back in it. It's great to have him back out there. It really is great to see that he is fully emerging into that leadership role. Perhaps, as James alluded to, a far more outspoken Tannehill is what we'll continue to see going forward. After losing offensive leaders in Jarvis Landry and Mike Pouncey during the offseason, the team would benefit from having a strong vocal presence from its starting quarterback. Questions at cornerback. On one side of the field, Miami's cornerback situation is as certain as it can be. Xavier Howard has been phenomenal throughout training camp, blanketing Devontae Parker day in and day out. He seems to be on his way to embarking on his first Pro Bowl season. On the other side of the hash marks, confusion continues to cloud over the team's number 2 cornerback spot. Over the past few weeks, it looked as though a 3-way battle between Cordray Tankersley, Tony Lippett, and Torrey McTyer was going to settle the matter. Yet the waters have been muddled even further. During Sunday's practice, Bobby McCain, who just signed a contract extension that rewarded him for being one of the league's top nickel cornerbacks, took first-team snaps at the outside opposite Howard. He appeared to be rotating with Tankersley and McTyer. With rookie first-round draft pick Minkah Fitzpatrick being a capable nickel corner on top of his primary safety role, it's possible the coaches envision a defensive package with Fitzpatrick playing nickel cornerback while McCain is on the outside. That would leave Tankersley, Lippett, and McTyer as depth options while keeping the team's best defenders on the field. We'll have to wait and see what lineups Adam Gase and Matt Burke show during the next few preseason games to see how the rest of the cornerback conundrum shakes out. Frank Gore is no graybeard. Last week, the Dolphins released the first unofficial depth chart of the preseason, which listed the first team running back as Kenyon Drake or Frank Gore. Coach Gase cracked a joke on the subject, telling the media that he wrote that just to be an asshole, but I think there's more to it than he's letting on. At Sunday's practice, the run defense stifled most of the offense's attempts to move the ball on the ground, yet Gore is not going to be stopped. He routinely hit the hole with speed and showed more elusiveness than a 35-year-old ball carrier should be capable of. In fact, he took a 35-yard rush to the house after making a couple of tacklers miss and outrunning several more. While Drake is certainly next in line to break out this year, expect Gore to be the 1B to Drake's 1A on the depth chart, not a second-string player. Tight end lineup solidifying. When the team's unofficial depth chart listed second-round draft pick Mike Gesicki as the fifth-string tight end, we all knew he wouldn't sit there for long. Yes, this week's depth chart hasn't shown any movement, but the practice lineup has. Gesicki has been taking plenty of reps with the first-team offense and has been making play after play in red zone drills. In 2 tight end sets, he's played alongside Marquise Gray and should continue to do so moving forward. A.J. Derby appears to fall in at third on the totem pole, with Durham Smythe, Gavin Escobar, and Thomas Duarte are fighting for a roster spot. Okay, let's see, what else do we got? Barry Jackson, nothing materialized from Dolphins meeting with Breland. Best option for now appears McCain on boundary. Joe Shad, we didn't draft him to be a killer at the point of attack. We drafted him to make plays in the red area. Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator Dowell Loggains on rookie tight end Mike Gesicki. Let's see, here's a Palm Beach Post article from Joe Shad. It's what Dowell Loggains said, and I will bring you that interview, obviously. I will add it to the end of this video. Let's see. But here's a recap of what he had to say. Everyone is getting tired of hitting each other in camp. That's what happens in the NFL about this time every year, every team. He was talking about the scuffles, I'm assuming. There was good and bad in the opener. Really pleased with the protection of the ones. Left some yards on the field with the run game. It was good to see Ryan Tannehill. He was really amped up for the game. You could feel his energy. David Phils did a pretty good job, made a few good throws. We keep telling these guys, get us to the end zone. He's done a good job with that. Kalen Ballage was solid. We have emphasized the pre-snap penalties. We've got guys running laps and taking sprints after practice, and the turnovers. To win in this league, you have to find ways not to lose. These guys need to understand the pre-snap penalties are not going to be tolerated. You're not going to be here if that keeps happening. We have to clean it up, and the ones did a good job with it. We had the one holding call, but it wasn't all on Juwan James. We're going to keep preaching it, and there are going to be consequences when it starts to happen. Bryce Petty did a nice job, kind of rallied the troops and made a few good checks. I told Mike Gesicki we didn't draft you to block. We drafted you to catch touchdowns in the red area. He's had his best days at practice in the red area. He's not afraid to stick his face in there. We didn't draft him to be a killer at the point of attack. We drafted him to make plays in the red area, convert third downs, make explosive plays on first and second down. He's going to have to learn how to block. But he's doing better and better at that, so it's okay. Coach Perry, wow, he's come a long way. Coach Perry, we had Snorris Perry in Chicago. He was predominantly a special teams player. He's done a great job of studying and learning. He's a competitive guy. He plays with a lot of intensity. How far he's come from 2015 to when I got here has been shocking to me. His knowledge of the offense. I'm really proud of how he's learned and worked. He's kind of a guy who is dependable and available. David Fales was with us in Chicago, and when he was a young player, he made a lot more mistakes than he makes now. Now he is an understanding. When he was in Chicago, Fales will pull him aside and say, okay, what do we have in this play? Now all of a sudden Coach Perry is correcting people. Just to see him grow has been pretty cool. I'm excited to see how the rest of the preseason goes. David Fales is much stronger now. He has really strengthened his core. Ryan Tannehill took ownership Sunday. Coach Gase can only tell him so many times. We can only say it so many times. It means more if you bust a protection and the quarterback throws you out. There's no one you want to disappoint less than your teammates, and when you walk in the huddle and walk in the locker room, those guys have to trust you. You have to earn the right to get in the huddle with the ones. That was absolutely the right thing to do for him to take that step and say, this isn't the standard we've set. That's what needs to happen, and it needs to happen more. Coach is not one creating penalties. They need to hold each other accountable. Yeah, man, I mean, it's just, obviously, they really do have to build that chemistry, that cohesion. Like I said, it's definitely encouraging to see Tannehill taking, even more of that leadership role and really getting in there and being proactive, making sure that the rookies especially understand what's going on and so on and so forth. So that's all really good to see. Let's see. Okay, and it looks like I have one more article for you, and it is from Andy Cohen. It's Andy Cohen's AC in the AM. Tannehill and O-line coming along nicely. With the pace picking up this week as the veterans figure to get more playing time Friday night in Carolina, with the regular season opener now almost within reach and with plenty of team-defining decisions still to be made, we offer up the morsels to digest on this Monday morning. After having a chance to let it all soak in for a few days, my biggest takeaway from the first preseason game was the performance of quarterback Ryan Tannehill and his first-team offensive line. A solid chemistry is forming here. Preseason or not, this was an important step for Tannehill, and he responded with confidence and poise, completing his first 4 passes. The offensive line certainly was a big factor in his success. Not only wasn't Tannehill sacked, he wasn't touched against an awfully good Tampa Bay starting front 7. If Tannehill can build off this performance, and if the line can as well, think what it could mean to the overall picture. That's definitely one of the most encouraging things for me, is that all of our offensive lines, the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, they were all performing really well. I really cannot wait to see this next game. Honestly, for me, I just want to see improvements from the last game to this next game and throughout all of the preseason. I just want to see improvements. The next game and the game after that. Obviously, the last game, the starters don't really expect to play much, if anything. And that's just going to be roster shakeout. That's for the guys on the back end. I'm excited to watch that too, but, the main thing for the next 2 games is I want to see progress out of everybody. The starting lineup and the backups as well, the second and third strings. The next thing that comes to mind was the debut of number 1 pick Minkah Fitzpatrick. With veteran safety Rashad Jones sitting this one out, Fitzpatrick started at safety and was clearly a factor, 2 times knocking the ball out of the hands of a Tampa Bay receiver and 1 time limiting what could have been a big play to just a 6-yard run. It is already evident that there will be no long transition with Fitzpatrick. He's going to play right away, and he's going to play a lot. I'm in a good spot, he says, and I still have 3 more games until the actual season, so hopefully at that point I'll be at 100%, maybe fly around, make calls, see the offense, and all that stuff. All that stuff is looking pretty good right now. Tannehill wasn't the only player returning from season-long injury. Starting middle linebacker Raekwon McMillan endured a similar path and made it through his long-awaited debut against the Bucs without any setbacks. He was in on 14 plays. I only got a couple of series, a couple of reps in there, but other than that, we did what we had to do and got out of there. He said, as important as Tannehill is to the offense, McMillan is almost as important to this defense. The team returned to the practice field on a sweltering Sunday, and one moment stood out above all others. After rookie running back Kalen Ballage missed a block that could have resulted in a Charles Harris sack, quarterback Ryan Tannehill wasted no time voicing his displeasure, first in the huddle and later on the sideline. He was in the right, said Coach Adam Gase to Tannehill. I would have been upset if I were him because he knows what the result in a game would have been. On a positive note, rookie place kicker Jason Sanders had his best day in camp, making all 8 of his field goal attempts and 2 from 61 yards out. He's still in a battle with undrafted rookie Greg Joseph, but let's just say Sanders is trending in the right direction. There was also a Frank Gore moment at Camp Sunday, the 14-year veteran breaking through a hole and sprinting untouched down the middle of the field. Seems like there's a Frank Gore moment at every practice. Wait a minute, there is. We need to start seeing more from former number 1 pick Devontae Parker, both in practice and in preseason games. Plain and simple, he's too talented not to be an everyday factor. Despite some shoulder issues and missing some time in training camp, I was most impressed last Thursday night with Isaiah Ford among the receivers, battling for that 6th spot on the roster. Ford caught a touchdown pass on a 2-point conversion and just seems to have the it you are looking for in a young receiver. Also like some of the things I've been seeing from outside linebacker Jerome Baker, a 3rd-round pick. I can tell you this, he's probably the fastest linebacker on this team, and it truthfully might not be close. He was out there balling out, McMillan said of his former Ohio State teammate who led the Dolphins with 5 solo tackles. Baker, by the way, started Sunday's practice with the first-team defense, a just reward. Very exciting, Baker said. Now I have to build on it from here. While the backup quarterback job remains unsettled, David Fales clearly helped his chances against the Bucs. I continue to see why Adam Gase brought him back. He knows the offense. He has excellent touch with his throws. He converts 3rd downs and seems well in sync with his receivers. Efficient. He completed 8 of 11 for 115 yards and a touchdown against the Bucs. I like his chances. It's going to be David Fales, guys. It's going to be David Fales. I honestly think Bryce Petty should be elevated above Brock. Dude is 6'7" and couldn't fucking get passes over his line of scrimmage or over the offensive line. The first team defense played only 2 series against the Bucs, and it's hard to form any conclusions, but the run defense clearly needs work, especially up the middle where the Bucs enjoyed too much success. This is my biggest concern on defense at this precise moment. Yeah, I would agree. The massive cut down from 90 players to the regular season limit of 53 comes on Saturday, September 1st, and right now there are several undrafted rookies clearly in the mix. Most notably, in my estimation, cornerback Jalen Davis from Utah State, linebacker Kason Collins from North Carolina, and defensive tackle Anthony Moten from Miami. The final 3 preseason games mean everything for these players. Finally, beginning this Friday night against the Panthers, the Dolphins will play their final 3 preseason games in 13 days. It's fair to say we're going to learn a lot more about this team in a hurry. Yeah, so that's true. Our next game comes this Friday. Then our following game our next game is going to be the following Saturday, and then our next game is going to be the following Thursday. So they are going to be in quick succession. But anyway, guys, so that's everything I got for you. There's not a whole lot, but there's some news, some notes, some updates on things. I'm going to obviously add in the interviews to the tail end of this video, so I hope you guys enjoy that, and I will see you again soon. Fins up.
Speaking of bright futures, how's this receiving core coming together?
Man, coming great, great. I see big things in us this year. I see that, we got a lot of players that can make plays, down the field. We can do anything. It could be an explosive play from any receiver at any point in time. So I think we have a great brotherhood. We hang out with each other outside of this facility, and I think that's the biggest part. Once you do that, you create that brotherhood, and then you hang out with each other a lot. And so when we move over onto the field, you never want to let those guys down. And that's what we strive upon is a brotherhood. And our 111, we're gonna get my job done at this point in time. So it can spring you open, and then next thing you know, I'll do my job to get you open. So that's all we're about, man. Just making sure each one of us shine and make sure we do our job and not let each other down.
You talk about that brotherhood. How tough is it seeing Devontae Parker once again struggling with injuries?
Man, it honestly hurts. Devontae is our brother. He's like the quiet, goofy one, and it hurts. It hurts to not see him out there, and I'm praying for him, and I'm ready for him to get back. And just for him not being out there, one of us got to step up, and so we just got to take off where we got to step up and replace where he took off at, and that's exactly what we're doing. Next man up, and we're ready for whenever he get back.
Last year you talked about so much getting better as a wide receiver, and I think we've all seen the improvements. What about in the kicking game? What are some of the little things maybe you've tried to work on this camp and punt return and stuff like that?
I'll just say hitting it downhill. Seeing the hole, making one cut, and getting upfield. I'll tell you that's a big improvement in my game this year. It's just getting downhill and getting those yards right away instead of trying to dance and make guys miss before they even get to me. So Riz harper on that about. That's my biggest improvement coming into this year. And me and Riz talk about it every single day, and we practice it every single day. And so that's exactly what I'm going to continue to do at practice, and so it can turn over to the game.
What did you guys notice after looking at the game tape from the first preseason game, and what changes can you make moving into that second one?
I would just say, we got to eliminate penalties. Pre-snap penalties, if you look at it, we was only killing ourselves, we're making big plays downfield, we're doing a lot of things right, all I say is, get back to the basics and the fundamentals and, get those things correct, and next thing you know, who can stop us?
Last year that seemed to be an issue as well. Is it a case in the locker room where you guys got to get on one another for that issue?
No, I mean, we just got to, zone in, just stay focused, and eliminate those pre-snap penalties. I feel like that's all it is just focus. We just got to have that a little bit more focus, especially when, we get going and we get a little tired, and that's usually when those happen. But I feel like, as time passed, we will get that all cleaned up.
In your third year, what makes you more ready for more of a feature role in the offense compared to your first two?
I would say just, also I would say confidence, and also just, knowing everything, every position on the field, and knowing exactly what everybody is doing, from the running back to receivers to the tight ends, and just knowing exactly what everybody's doing. So if I know exactly what everybody is doing, I know my role, and I know exactly where I got to be at that right time. And so, all it takes is repetition and, just and having that confidence that, you can go out there and make a big play, or go out there, and spring one of your guys open. And so I feel like, as my rookie year, I didn't know it that much, and I feel like, I was kind of shaky. The confidence level wasn't always there. And now this year, confidence is through the roof, and I'm just ready to go out there and make plays.
Intensity of training camp. Now that we're getting down to the last couple of practices, obviously some of the players have mentioned they're getting tired of hitting each other.
Sure. I mean, you go through you go through OTAs, you go through mandatory mini camp, you go through training camp. These guys are going against each other every day. So, I think typical training camp stuff. The guys are, flying around today. We had full pads on. We got a little physical out there. So, I think that's kind of chalking up to training camp. This is the time of year. So the preseason game's coming at a good time. We can hit somebody else.
What do you look for in the second preseason game after having a chance to look at the film from Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, special teams wise in particular, you're looking for the younger players in particular to make big time strides. You always hear that game 1 to game 2, analogy, and I think it's true, but really for the younger guys, there's a lot of younger players that hadn't played a lot of special teams before. Forget about here or anywhere. And so, you're looking for those guys to kind of, make that jump, the next step in the progression. I think there was a lot of good efforts out there the other night, from a lot of good younger guys, but want to see improvement. We're not there yet. There's some younger guys that we're, really trying to evaluate. So that's going to be the big thing for those guys.
So who stuck out to you on Thursday night?
There was a bunch of guys that flashed. The one thing we got to be is more consistent. But there were some guys across the board. There was a bunch of younger guys that, probably made some plays in the open field. As I think through, the running back position, those two guys, Buddy and Kalen and Sonoris, those guys all played pretty well. Rashawn Scott and the receiver group had a pretty good job, did a good job the other night. On the defensive side, a bunch of the younger guys, again, all flash at times. It was kind of a little bit too much of a roller coaster for me. I want to see more consistency. So no one's a finished product just yet at this time of the year. So just again looking for that improvement.
So what do you say is Quentin Pollard in his role on special teams?
Well, Quentin's a guy that's going to, obviously he's a guy that came in and was a guy that could move around on film and could really flash his speed and ability. And so he's a guy, again, that played a lot of defense in college and not a ton of special teams. And so, again, he's a guy we're evaluating. He was one of those guys that falls right into that roller coaster. He had some good plays the other night, but he had some plays that we can't have on film. And so, again, we're going to get him a lot of plays here these next few weeks. But he probably had the most special teams reps of anybody the other night. So we got at least a good evaluation on film.
As far as the adjustment to the new kickoff rules, how is everybody handling that, and how long do you think that'll take?
I got to be honest with you, I think it went pretty smooth. Got a chance to watch that Hall of Fame game to kind of see that first glimpse of it, and then obviously with our game, and I was a little bit concerned about some of the intricacies, but I'll tell you what, I thought it looked pretty clean. I think what you're seeing now, if you look through, there's a lot of returns in the preseason. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the regular season, but I thought the dynamics, logistics of the play, I thought everything looked pretty good. I think it's going to be a much more wide open play. A lot of faster guys on the field, not just us, but around the league. And so I think it's been pretty good so far.
Coach, what are you looking to see out of your kickers going into the second preseason game and the third week of training camp now?
Yeah, really, same thing with them as everybody else, just improvement. It's good they both got that first kick out of the way. Neither of them's first rep was very good. Greg kicked the ball out of bounds, and although Jason had plenty of leg on that 53-yarder, he obviously pulled a little bit. I think he was a little excited. The good thing for both guys is they really bounced back. The rest of the game they played very well. It's kind of like that. They get that first one from out from under their belt, and then they both did well. So again, want to see them have a better start to the game. Want to see both guys just keep improving. I'm really happy with where they are. Last couple of days, both guys have had great practices, and so I'm happy with their progression. But again, we got 3 more preseason games for those guys, and so you just want to see the improvement, steady improvement. Leading up, and you want to kind of hit your peak, in the first week of the regular season.
Can you foresee it one of those guys to be a starting NFL kicker come week 1?
Oh, listen, they both have the talent to do it. There's no doubt about it. And I think you saw the other night, kind of like I said, once they got that first one out of there, that's kind of what they've been throughout training camp. There's no doubt about both guys have NFL ability. It's just a matter of putting it together week after week and consistency. I'm overall pleased with their first performance. I think both guys will kick in the NFL. They do.
Why do you think it was kind of feisty out there today?
Second day after an off day. Yesterday was an intense practice, and just, everyone's getting tired of hitting each other. And camp, it's what happens in the NFL about this time every year, every team.
How would you assess the work of the offense in the preseason opener?
There was good and bad, obviously. I was really pleased with the protection with the ones. Left some yards on the field in the run game that way, but it was good to see 17 get out there. I know he was really amped up for the game. You could just feel his energy in his feet a little bit, but it was really good for him to get out there, and I was pleased for the most part at how they performed.
David Fells, how do you think he performed out there on Thursday?
I thought he did a pretty good job. Made a couple really good throws, got us in a couple plays. The post obviously threw to 82 was a really good throw, and we keep telling these guys that how we'll make decisions is the guy that gets the team in the end zone, and he's done a good job with that stuff. He needs to continue to show and improve every week.
Outside of outside of that fumble by Kalen Balaj, how do you think he performed?
He was solid. We can't. The one big emphasis we put when starting the season was we need to eliminate all the pre-snap penalties, and you guys have seen that. We've got guys taking laps, running sprints after practice, and the turnovers. You guys have heard it. It's a cliche, but it's real. To win this league, you have to find ways not to lose. And when you put the ball on the ground on a third down conversion, that's the other thing is. You've run over 2 guys and sent 2 guys to the sideline, and then you're hurdling people. It's a great show of athleticism, but we got to keep working with him. He's got to keep getting better, and he will.
You've done this a minute. I mean, from your experience, what's going to be the best way to really minimize that pre-snap stuff?
Just keep, number one, these guys need to understand it's not going to be tolerated. Like, you're not going to be here if that keeps happening. We have to clean it up. We're the ones did a good job with it. We had the one holding call. There wasn't all on number 70. The guard snapped out on the guy and pushed him, and 70's got to fit his hands up inside better. But it needs to be this week. We need to be better with that, and we don't need to have any pre-snap penalties. And we're going to keep preaching it. And there's going to be consequences when it's not, not happening or when it starts to happen.
Any of you guys catch your eye in that game?
I thought Bryce Petty did a nice job. He came in and had a couple checks and showed great energy and kind of rallied the troops that way. I think all of them kind of flashed. The first one to me is just get out there, let them experience playing the NFL for the first time, and let's see how they do in week 2, week 3, week 4, and hopefully the one thing we preach around here is don't make the same mistake twice. There's gonna be times when they mess up, like Kalen and these guys, but you got to continue to make new mistakes.
How would you assess Mike Gesicki's progress in terms of his blocking, since it's such a hot topic of conversation?
Well, he was down at 9-on-7 today, and I went to 1-on-1, and Coach Gates went to 9-on-7. So when he walked down to 1-on-1s, I was like, hey, get out here. We didn't draft you to block, but we drafted you to come catch touchdowns in the red area. And he's had his best days of practice. You guys have seen it in the red area catching passes, and we'll keep getting better with that. And he's working really hard. The good thing is he's not afraid to stick his face in there. So it's he's gonna we didn't draft him to be a killer at the point of attack. We drafted him to make plays in the red area, convert third downs, make explosive plays on first and second down, and he's going to have to learn how to block and stuff, but we'll put him in good situations once the bullets are real, and we'll keep putting him out there and letting him go through these struggles and blocking. Our defensive ends are good players.
What's the key to being more efficient and effective on third downs?
It's a great question. Yeah. No.
Previously, but that's been really an issue in point of
you can't be frustrated when it's 3rd and 11 and you don't convert. You got to look back. You don't treat the symptom, treat the problem. You got a negative yard run, you pass up a progression on. So it's 2nd and 11, you pass up a progression on 2nd and 11, and all of a sudden you're in 3rd and 11. The key to that is you got to be really good on 1st and 2nd down. You got to stay efficient and stay ahead of the chains, and you can't have pre-snap penalties. You can't have holding penalties, and you got to be really disciplined in your progression at the quarterback position and make sure you keep moving the chains. And we talk to the quarterbacks all the time about be aggressive in the timing of the play. So don't pass up one to move to the second progression when one's open. That way you have the ability to get in 3rd and 6 or less. We'll be okay at 3rd and 6 or less, but you got to be pretty dang good at quarterback and a pretty good offense to continually convert 3rd and 11, 3rd and 10s.
What do you like about Perry when he gets in there?
Coach Perry, wow, he's come a long way. We call him Coach Perry. We had him in Chicago, and he was predominantly a special teams player. But the one thing he's done a great job of studying and learning. He's definitely a competitive guy. He plays with a lot of intensity, and just how much where he's come from 2015 to when I got here has been shocking to me. His knowledge of the offense, and really proud of how he's learned and worked. And so he's kind of become a guy that he's dependable.
So
he's available.
That's where he got that Coach Perry from, was the knowledge of the offense?
Well, it was. David Fales was with us in Chicago, and when he was a young player, he made a lot more mistakes than he makes now. And now he has an understanding. He's over there grabbing people. When he was in Chicago, David Fales would take him one-on-one, and during walkthroughs, be like, what do you got here on this play? And now all of a sudden, Coach Perry's correcting people, and just to see him grow as a player and individual has been pretty cool. I'm excited to see how the rest of preseason goes for him.
With 2 players, you have the history with David Fales and Senor. How much of it is just comfort level?
It's comfort level, and the one thing David has made a huge he's a lot stronger than he was in 2015, and he's worked really hard with our strength staff here in the summer. He committed to Pilates and all these other things, and you can tell really put an emphasis on strengthening his core, and it's shown up. He is a stronger player, and I think it's helping him be efficient in the offense and run it, and it also helps when you've been in the offense for 3 or 4 years. You start to have a real understanding, because that's how David's going to make this roster, make this team, and continue to compete for the 2 spot. Is he needs to master this stuff and know it inside and out. Ownership. We keep telling these guys as a coach, Coach Gase can only tell them so many times. Eventually, it's their responsibility and to control this stuff. You know, we can only say it so many times where it means more if all of a sudden, like, you bust a protection and the quarterback throws you out. Well, there's no one you want to disappoint more than your teammates. And when you walk in the huddle and walk in the locker room, like, those guys have to trust you. And so the level of accountability, to me, that's where Ryan took a step, is like, it needs to be understood. Like, you step in the huddle with the ones and you get that opportunity, which a lot of rookies don't get. Like, you have to earn that right. And, you know, so for Ryan to hold him accountable, I think it was the absolute right thing to do.
How have you seen him grow?
It's hard for me to speak because this is my first year, obviously, but for him to take that step and say, hey, like, this isn't acceptable, this isn't the standard we set. Like, that's what it needs to happen. It needs to happen more offensively. It needs to happen on the defense. Like, when things start to go that way, like, it has to come from the players. Like, a coach can only do so much. We're not in the huddle with them. Like, the coaches aren't the ones creating penalties. Like, it's our job to put them in situations to be successful, but they need to hold each other accountable and set the standard for themselves.
Dowell, can you talk a little bit about the red zone offense on this team? What do you see as the upside? How much talent do you see when you line up at the 20-yard line and you have all those options?
Yeah, well, most importantly is, like, staying efficient and getting down there. But, you know, we have some guys that should be, you know, Danny Amendola's been a really good red area guy, hit for his whole career. I think the one thing that all good red area teams do is they run the football well. You have to be able to run the football down there, and, you know, then that creates the one-on-ones for guys like Mike Gesicki and 11 and those guys to, you know, throw the ball outside the numbers, throw the fades, throw the back shoulders, and, you know, be able to create all those pick plays and all the things that this offense has done for a long time.
Does Adam have a separate playbook for the red zone, or is it just encompassed from the entire playbook?
Adam has a different playbook for everything.
He does?
Yes. So we definitely have a red area package. You know, and for me, it's been interesting. Like, we were together in 2015 to get here and see where it's at right now, compared to when we got to Chicago and I got to see the 12, 13, 14 tape they were at Denver, and we're getting there where we're getting it all in, and we're still not there. It's probably, you know, operating about 60%. And there's still a lot of things that we haven't got to, and as we grow as an offense and we find out what each one of these players is, like, coach will say, hey, this is what we're going to do with this guy, and this is what we're going to do with this guy, and, you know, we do create game plan plays for those guys in different situations in the red area.
Hey, Dell, you guys have had some injuries at the tight end position, especially among the veterans, another one today. At what point does that become an issue? I know it gives the younger guys some playing time, but you kind of want to see those older guys too, right?
Yes, sir. We'd love to see everybody, and we're going to worry about what we can control, and we can't control injuries. So our mentality is this next man up, and we can't control that, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time worrying about that, because it should be a room that we should be getting better every day, and we drafted 2 players in that room for a reason, and whoever's in there and whoever gets that opportunity better compete, because it is a room that there is some competition in.
And do you feel you've gotten a good look at Derby and Marquise? I mean, I know you saw him during OTAs and minicamps also.
Hey, no, I was with Marquise in Cleveland in 2014, and coach has been around him. Like, we have a good evaluation of him and AJ. Like, he was here last year, and so the most important thing is, like, we need to figure out these young guys as well. And, like, preseason, like, we're not ready to make a determination on anyone at this point, but the more reps they can get, the more situations they get put in, like, they need all of it.
Up-tempo offense, I'm sorry, Chris. It seems to me, I might be wrong, that you guys are doing more and more of it as training camp is going on. It seems like you're getting better at it, but can you take me kind of through that and how it looked in Tampa, and are you progressing at the up-tempo?
Well, it's something that Adams has always been a big part of his offense. I don't know if he huddled very much in 13 and 14 at all, and they're kind of a mixture in Chicago, and it takes time. Like, that's the thing. In Denver, they had a little bit of time, and, you know, we're getting into the year 3, and it's year 3, 4, and 5 when all of a sudden, like, it starts, they have a complete understanding of that. You know, that's a big reason why coach liked Danny Amendola, is to be able to get him in there and operate in some of those no-huddle situations, and we'll be a team that huddles, and we will run some no-huddle as well.
Now, the Bucks won some Thursday night. Their defense looked pretty strong against the offensive line. Do you guys have any concerns with your offensive line, and just right now, maybe the cohesion that they have?
No, I was actually pleased with our 2s as well versus their 1s. I thought they did a good job. I thought we did a good job in pass pro. You know, the biggest thing we wanted to see with our 1s was not anything other than, hey, pre-snap penalties, the sacks, turnovers. Like, go out there, get used to playing in a game together for the first time, and each week it needs to get better. Like, we're not going to be instant evaluators and make evaluations based on that, but it is a good start for us.
Is it better at this point to have Ryan mobile? We saw him obviously on that first play in the preseason game, but have him mobile out there. And is that something you're looking to do a lot this year because of just maybe some of the blocking depth that you might have?
You know, he had a lot of success in 2016 on the move and doing those things. And obviously, he's a good athlete. So we'll continue to mix that stuff in as the defense allows us. We felt like we could get on the edge against Tampa and do those things, and did a pretty decent job. He obviously had the first play, an explosive pass right out of the gate on the move, and it's good for him to get out there and you know, he doesn't practice, but doing it in a game is completely different. So just so he builds confidence in going out there and doing that.
How's he looked so far through camp and obviously through that first game?
He's looked good. You know, he's done a good job. Again, we've been moving him and learning different positions, and I think the positive from Thursday night, was he actually made some plays on the ball, had a couple breakups, one deep on the range and one dropping down in and that sort of thing. So, a couple kind of run fits that he just hasn't seen, that he's working through. Again, with Minkah, I feel good about he's always learning from something happens in the game, the next time he corrects it, or something happens in practice. Again, maybe it's because he hasn't seen it yet, but the next time he kind of picks it up. So he absorbs things real quickly. He's very coachable, and I'm happy with his progression so far.
Adam called him yesterday a relentless worker, football savvy. He's here early, he's here late.
Yeah.
That's got to be a good example to set for the
It is. Again, I think, obviously credit to him, but credit to, Chris Greer and his staff for, scouting guys like that and trying to bring those type of players into the building. And, I pride myself on working pretty hard, and usually Adam's the last car in the parking lot when I leave, and sometimes Minkah's car is still here, and I got to go back in and see what's going on, what I miss. So, no, he's done a good job. It's important to him. He puts the time in, and I think it's showing.
Has there been a moment, whether practice on the field, where you've seen, some of the growth that you've gone through with Minkah?
Yeah, I mean, literally, even in the game, that first touchdown we gave up, just the call we're playing, his fit. We don't see a lot of two-back runs from Adam in practice. So, it was probably one of the first two-back sets we faced. So he didn't really, he was uncertain about his fit. It came up, the same play happened like in the next series, and he made a play for a 2-yard gain. So, just even within the game, for him to be able to adjust and adapt like that was positive.
Matt, a lot of times coaches want to have their lineup set for the third preseason game.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay. You say so.
I'm not saying if you want to do that.
Okay.
I'm asking, is that something you would like to have, or it's not important to you?
Everything's important. Obviously as you progress through training camp and preseason games and the way, you sort of approach that progression, you'd like to sort of have a group that's working together and sort of you can get a firm evaluation on as you move towards, usually that third preseason games where they play the bulk of their snaps and that sort of thing. So, you'd like to sort of have a group that you can roll out there, that you feel confident getting the work that they're going to be seeing, 2 weeks later on Sunday. So obviously that would be ideal. But at the same time, we want to get the right guys out there and in the right situation. So if we don't feel comfortable with how it's settled, then we'll keep working what we're working.
Do you feel like you're close to having that 11 set?
I don't think we're close to anything right now, to be honest with you. So again, we'll keep rolling groups and keep rolling positions until, it's really up to them. Until someone grabs a hold of it and says, this is my spot and I'm not letting it go, and I'm showing you day in and day out consistently that I'm going to perform at the level you guys want us to perform at, then I'll say, okay, that's your job and let's go. But until that happens, we're going to keep mixing and matching and find out who can handle that adversity and handle those adjustments.
Matt, I know last year was an unpleasant experience going to Carolina.
Yeah.
Can you use this as a barometer when the first team plays the first team on Friday night? Is there a...
Everything's a barometer. At this time, it's a different coordinator up there, so the scheme isn't, exactly going to be the same in terms of that sort of thing.
But Cam's still out there.
He is, yeah, and McCaffrey and that whole crew, and it's. I wouldn't look at it compared to last year. It's just another opportunity to go against a talented offensive team with, I think the good part for us is they have some unique weapons, with Olsen and McCaffrey and Cam, and that style of play. So I think that's just really an opportunity for us to compete against those guys. And every preseason game has an element of a measuring stick. I'm not really looking back to last year and what we did, but just in terms of going up against some good players and you know, how they compete against that level of talent would be exciting for us.
You guys are obviously still trying to prove yourself out here today, but how do you balance, you know, versatility versus chemistry, particularly in that secondary?
I think the chemistry part has actually been really good. Tony's done a good job with them in that room. You guys, I mean, understand camp, especially now. I mean, it's 3 weeks in roughly or whatever we're in. I mean, those guys spend a lot of time together, not just on the field. I mean, that meeting room and off the field in the locker room. So I've been pleased with the chemistry. And tell us what we're trying to do is, you know, stuff happens during the season. You know, I mean, so we can't get locked in. Even if we settle on, hey, this is our group and this is our starters. I mean, something happens and someone else has to go in there. There has to be that level of comfort and chemistry with everybody in that room. So really the chemistry part we're trying to take from a big picture room standpoint. And then, you know, like play to play and series to series, like those guys got to get used to working with each other in different capacities. So I'm fine with how that's progressing.
Matt, how do you know when rookies are ready to play? What do you need to see on and off?
Year 2. Look, I mean, you know, I tell the guys this the day they come in the building, like, yeah, there's rookies, but it's the same for everybody. Like, if you show us you can play and compete on the field, then you're going to play. And some rookies get it, you know, some third-year guys don't get it, you know. So, I mean, the rookie label, I mean, obviously there's a level of concern with just the adjustment and coming to this league, but for us, it's just what you do on the field. Like, I don't look like that. If you show us as a staff that, you know, you're lined up right, you're doing the right things, you're executing your assignments, and you're making plays on the field, then I don't care. I'll start 10 rookies if they all do that. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think those preseason games, I mean, I'll say this about Thursday night. Probably the only bright spot was just that all our rookies, I didn't think it was too big for them. They all competed. They all played hard. You know, top down, like all 4 quarters, like made some plays on the ball, and the line guy, everybody. So that was encouraging just from it wasn't, you know, as a first real, you know, NFL experience. And they didn't, you know, like get too wide-eyed. They all went out and competed and played with some energy. So that was encouraging just from a whole group standpoint with that. So, you know, that rookie label's over, man. We got to play ball games in a few weeks. So we're going to find the best players.
Do you believe in the term rookie mistake, and how much leeway do you allow?
I don't know. No. I mean, maybe in OTAs, you know, I mean, that's part of what we're doing, and maybe to now, but, you know, I know it was alluded to earlier. I mean, at some point, you know, everyone thinks you have a lot of time left, but this clock starts ticking real quick in terms of the season and getting guys that have to play. So you have to, you know, rookie mistakes all cute, but at some point you got to be ready to perform for us on Sunday. So that window, if it isn't closed yet, it's closing pretty rapidly. So.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the interviews. I hope you enjoyed the show. And as always, if you did, please hit the subscribe button, you know, share it with your friends, post on Facebook, you know, whatever, hit the like button, and definitely leave me some comments, questions, concerns, anything you'd like to see or hear in the videos, you know, stuff like that. So definitely let me know. And of course, the most important thing is subscribe. So with that said, I'll see you guys soon, and fins up.